We Were Never From Here, written by Jeremy Siebold. The year is 2026. Night had a way of making everything feel bigger. When the sun dropped and the sky went dark, it was hard not to look up, hard not to wonder, hard not to feel like there was something out there watching back. College had a way of doing that too. It was supposed to be a time when life started making sense, when you picked a major, found your people, figured out who you were going to become. But for most people, it didn't feel like that. It felt like I was drifting. Classes, deadlines, late nights, cheap coffee, half-finished plans. A constant feeling that everyone else had gotten some kind of instruction manual no one handed to you. And then there was the skies. Humanity has always been drawn to it. We had crossed oceans, built cities, launched rockets, walked on the moon. We had sent machines farther into space than any human could go, all in search of answers. And still, we were here, still looking, still asking if we're alone. But maybe that had never been the right question. Maybe the real mystery wasn't what was out there. Maybe it was what we were. What if Earth wasn't our beginning? What if we were just where we ended up? A place to start over, a place to hide, a place to forget. Maybe the reason the stars felt familiar wasn't because we were curious about them. Maybe it was because some buried part of us remembered them. Not clearly, not enough to explain, just enough to feel it. That strange pull, the sense that something was missing, that feeling that life we were living was only part of the story. And maybe the worlds above us weren't distant at all. Maybe they were leftovers. Pieces of somewhere we came from long before we were ever told we belonged here. So the question wasn't whether we were alone in the universe. The question was, what if we were never from here? Chapter 1, The Pull of the Sky. The rooftop wasn't supposed to be open. At least that was what the faded sign on the locked doors downstairs claimed. Adrian Cole had never been very interested in signs, rules, or the people who thought either of those things mattered. He stepped out into the cold night air and let the door shut softly behind him. Below, the city buzzed and glowed and moved as it always did. Cars, streetlights, voices drifting up through the dark. Up here, though, it always felt far away, like the world had been turning down to a low hum. Adrian set up his tripod with careful hands and adjusted the telescope. He had done this enough times to make every knob, every angle, every tiny shift that could throw off the image. Tonight, though, something felt different. Not better, not worse, just different. Like the sky was waiting for him. You're going to get yourself arrested one of these nights. Adrian didn't look away from the eyepiece. Technically, I'm already trespassing. Maya Torres climbed onto the roof a second later, her backpack bouncing against her shoulder. She pushed windblown hair out of her face and looked around like she expected the roof itself to judge her for being there. You said that the last time, she said, and the time before that. And you were wrong last time. Adrian finally glanced at her. Was I? Maya snorted and stepped closer. You're awfully calm for a guy who sneaks onto rooftops to stare at space. I'm not sneaking, he said. I'm observing. Observing what? More dots? He gave her a sideways look. The dots are stars. Right, tiny glowing dots that have been sitting there forever. Some of them have planets. Some of them have problems, Maya said. Adrian laughed under his breath and turned back to the telescope. Maya came beside him and peered through the lens without asking. Anything good, she asked. Maybe. That's not an answer. It is if you're patient. I'm not. I know. She pulled back and looked at him. Seriously, what are you hoping to find tonight? Adrian paused. He could have given it the easy answer. Galaxies, planets, something weird in the sky, but that wasn't really it. What's out there? He finally said. And why does it feel like we're always supposed to be looking for it? Maya studied him for a second. Her expression softened a little. Do you ever get tired of sounding like a sci-fi trailer? Only when you point it out. She smiled, but it faded quickly. She leaned against the low rooftop wall and looked up. I think about it too, she said. Adrian looked over. About space? About all of it, she shrugged one shoulder. School, jobs, whatever we're all supposed to become. It just feels like everyone pretending they already know what they're doing. Adrian said nothing. Maya kept her eyes on the sky, like we're supposed to be living bigger than this, like there's something missing, and everybody just agreed not to mention it. That got his attention. He turned finally towards her. You feel that too? Maya hesitated. Feel what? The pool. She gave him a look. You really do like saying stuff that sounds weird on purpose. I'm serious. I know. For a moment, they didn't answer anything. The city kept moving beneath them. A siren wailed somewhere far off. A car horn echoed once and disappeared into the night. Up here, the sky felt too big, too quiet, too old. Adrian leaned back towards the telescope. Come take a look at this. Maya stepped in and bent over the lens. At first, there was nothing but darkness and a few dim points of light. Then she stopped. Okay, she said slowly. What is that? Adrian's voice lowered. It's not a star. Maya straightened a little and looked again. One point of light stood out from the rest, brighter, steadier, wrong somehow. It's moving, she said. Not the way it should, she glanced at him. Satellite? I don't think so. Maya frowned. You don't think so? Adrian shook his head, still watching the sky through the scope. I know what satellites look like, and this isn't one. Maya looked back up on her own now. The light was faint to the naked eye, but it was there, hanging in place as it belonged to the dark. Okay, she said quietly, that's weird. She folded her arms, weird enough to be explainable, right? Adrian didn't answer right away. Maya turned her head slightly. Adrian! He was still staring upwards. Maybe. Maybe what? Maybe it's explainable. That should have been reassuring. It wasn't. The light flickered once. Maya froze. Did you see that? Yes. The light was still there, but smaller now, dimmer, like it had blinked at them. Maya swallowed. Tell me that was just my eyes. It wasn't. They stood very still. The rooftop felt quieter now, like even the city below had noticed something was wrong. Maya let out a slow breath. Okay, so either I'm losing it or there's something up there that does not belong. Adrian didn't smile this time. Yeah. She glanced at him. That's all you've got? He kept looking at the sky. For now. The light flickered again. This time it was gone. Maya blinked and stared at the empty patch of sky where it had been. Nope. You lost it. It moved. Moved where? I don't know. Maya let out a short laugh that had no real humor in it. That is not comforting. I wasn't trying to be comforting. Yeah, I got that. The silence that followed was awkward. It was worse. It felt like the space between them had filled with something neither of them wanted to name. Maya looked back up slowly. You ever get the feeling, she said, that maybe we're the ones being watched? Adrian finally looked at her. And for the first time all night, he didn't have a joke. Yeah, he said. Then a softer, I have. Maya held his gaze. Neither of them laughed. Neither of them looked away. Because in that instant, with the rooftops still and the sky too dark and the city too far below, they both felt it. Not fear exactly, recognition. Like something out there had just noticed them back. And somewhere beyond the stars, far past the reach and streetlights of telescopes and human understanding, something moves silently through the dark. Watching, waiting, remembering. End of chapter 1.